What if I told you that the grocery store you visit every single week isn't actually in the grocery business at all? When you walk into a Publix, buy a $5 loaf of bread, and walk out, you think you just supported a standard retail chain. But that entire transaction is a brilliant illusion. Behind those brightly lit aisles and friendly checkout lines lies a multi-billion-dollar corporate secret. The truth is, Publix makes its real fortunes by operating as a ruthless, hyper-lucrative real estate monopoly. And by the end of this investigation, you will discover how this regional giant built an impenetrable cash machine that leaves massive rivals like Walmart and Kroger completely powerless. To understand this hidden machine, we have to start with a brutal reality of the supermarket world. Selling groceries is a terrible business. Average profit margins in this industry are razor-thin, often hovering around a microscopic 1 to 2%. That means for every $100 you spend at a cash register, the store might only keep a single dollar after paying suppliers. So how does Publix routinely generate billions of dollars in pure profit, outperforming almost every competitor in North America? The mystery deepens when you look at what traditional supermarkets do just to stay alive. Most retail chains rent their store spaces from massive commercial landlords. Every single month, millions of dollars in hard-earned revenue vanish into rent checks. But decades ago, Publix realized a terrifying truth. If you rent the building you stand on, you are ultimately working for your landlord. So they made a radical decision that changed their financial destiny forever. Instead of paying rent to someone else, Publix decided to buy the entire shopping plaza outright. When a real estate developer plans a new shopping center, they desperately need a massive grocery store as an anchor tenant to draw daily crowds. Publix steps in, purchases the land complex, builds their supermarket right in the center, and then rents out the surrounding storefronts. Think about the sheer genius of this setup. The grocery store naturally attracts thousands of daily shoppers. Those shoppers then visit the neighboring nail salons, pizza parlors, and dry cleaners. And who do those small business owners pay rent to every single month? That's right, directly to Publix. While traditional supermarkets bleed cash paying rent, Publix collects high-margin real estate checks from the very businesses surrounding them. They aren't just selling apples and milk. They are running a commercial real estate empire hidden in plain sight. But this leads to an even bigger question. How does owning the shopping plaza allow Publix to completely destroy local competition before it even starts? The answer lies in a hidden legal clause buried deep inside their tenant contracts. When Publix owns the plaza, they write strict non-compete agreements into every single lease. No other food vendor, no specialty butcher, no rival market can ever open a store within that entire complex. By controlling the dirt, they instantly wipe out local competition. Imagine you are a competing chain like Aldi or Trader Joe's trying to enter a wealthy suburban neighborhood. You look for prime real estate, only to discover that Publix already owns every major commercial location in a 10-mile radius and legally forbids anyone else from selling food on their grounds. It is an impenetrable physical moat built out of concrete, asphalt, and property deeds. Yet, owning billions of dollars in real estate presents a massive financial trap. Managing thousands of properties and maintaining incredible service requires an enormous workforce. In an industry plagued by constant worker burnout and 80% annual turnover, how does Publix keep its operations running like clockwork, without high labor costs eating their real estate profits alive? The answer rests inside a bizarre corporate structure that Wall Street absolutely hates. Publix has no public stock, no activist investors, and no corporate raiders demanding quick cost cuts. Instead, it is the largest employee-owned company in the entire United States. When you see a teenager bagging groceries, or a baker working in the back, they aren't just working for an hourly wage after a short period of service. The company gifts them actual company stock, completely free of charge. The store manager walking down aisle 4 isn't just an employee. They are often a multimillionaire who built a massive private stock portfolio over 20 years of service. This structural shift completely changes human psychology, while competitors struggle with understaffed stores and indifferent workers. Publix employees work with the urgency and pride of actual business owners, because they literally are. Lower turnover means drastically lower hiring costs, fewer operational mistakes, and customer service that feels genuinely warm. And that world-class service creates another massive strategic advantage. It gives Publix the power to pull off a pricing strategy that should, theoretically, drive customers straight into the arms of their competitors. If you take a standard basket of groceries from Publix and compare it to the exact same items at a nearby Walmart, Publix is routinely 15 to 25% more expensive. In classic economics, consumers always run toward the lowest price. So why do millions of suburban shoppers willingly overpay at Publix every single week? Because Publix isn't just selling food. They are selling convenience, speed, and psychological comfort. They deliberately build their stores inside high-income suburbs where time-starved families value a clean, 10-minute shopping run far more than saving $10 at a crowded discount store. Once those affluent shoppers step inside, Publix hits them with their highest margin trap of all: fresh prepared foods and private label goods. Take the iconic Publix deli counter, famous for its custom sub sandwiches. On the surface, a fresh deli looks like a slow, expensive operation requiring constant manual labor, but economically, it is a goldmine. A customer walks in to buy an $8 fresh sandwich, an impulse purchase with gross profit margins that blow packaged groceries out of the water. While waiting in line, they grab a drink, chips, and a fresh bakery item. What was supposed to be a quick lunch turns into a high-margin transaction with profit margins pushing past 40%. Then comes the private label illusion. When you browse the shelves, Publix places its store-brand items right next to expensive national brands. The house brand is priced just slightly lower, making it look like a smart deal. But behind the scenes, that store-brand item costs Publix far less to produce and ship, yielding double the profit margin of the national brand sitting right beside it. At this point, you might think you understand the entire machine. They collect real estate rent, retain loyal employee owners, charge premium prices, and push high-margin foods. But all of this creates a giant, unanswered financial mystery. How do they buy all this land and expand so fast without taking on mountains of dangerous bank debt? This is where the most unbelievable financial secret of Publix actually lives. During economic downturns, massive retail chains frequently collapse under the weight of heavy interest payments. They borrow billions to expand, and when consumer spending slows down, those loan payments crush them. Publix operates under an almost unheard-of rule for a multi-billion-dollar titan. They carry virtually zero long-term debt. When Publix buys a new shopping center or builds a massive distribution hub, they don't ask Wall Street for money, and they don't take out massive bank loans. They pay for it using cold, hard, accumulated cash reserves generated directly from their existing operations. This zero-debt strategy grants them terrifying economic immunity. When interest rates surge and rival developers panic, Publix sits on a mountain of liquid cash, waiting patiently to buy up distressed commercial property at a discount. While competitors freeze expansion to pay off loans, Publix accelerates, snatching up territory precisely when everyone else is falling apart. And that massive cash pile feeds directly into their final, most lethal advantage: supply chain density. In the grocery industry, distance is the ultimate profit killer. Moving fresh food over long distances burns insane amounts of fuel, labor, and time. Publix solves this by operating like an elite military unit within a tightly controlled geographic grid. By clustering hundreds of stores inside dense regional pockets, a single distribution warehouse can serve dozens of locations within a tiny driving radius. Their delivery trucks are constantly moving, dropping off fresh goods and picking up recycled materials on the return trip. Because their logistics web is so tightly packed, The cost to ship inventory to a Publix store is a fraction of what it costs a national competitor trying to cover dozens of spread-out states. If a rival chain tries to invade their territory, they are forced to build massive warehouses from scratch just to supply a few initial stores. Their shipping costs per store become astronomically high. While Publix operates with microscopic logistics expenses, the invader bleeds money trying to build scale, while Publix comfortably uses its logistics web to maintain total market control. When you assemble all these layers, a clear, shocking picture emerges: a giant private real estate portfolio, a high-margin deli engine, zero bank debt, an employee ownership structure, and an airtight logistics network. Together, they form an unbeatable financial fortress hidden behind the friendly image of a neighborhood supermarket. Most people look at Publix and see a place to buy groceries on a Tuesday afternoon. They see a simple retail store doing its best in a competitive world. But when you pull back the curtain, you realize you are looking at one of the most brilliant business models in modern commercial history. They don't compete on price, because they don't need to. They don't fear Wall Street, because their workers own the equity. They don't worry about rising rent, because they collect the checks. And they don't fear economic crashes, because they owe nothing to the banks. The true lesson of Publix isn't about what sits on the grocery shelves. It's about the invisible economic system beneath the floorboards. They proved that the ultimate way to win at retail is to stop playing by retail rules and start owning the very ground your customers stand on.